Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. My name is Mo, and welcome to the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. Today, we're going to talk about Barcelona's victory over Celta Vigo 1-0 at the Spotify Camp Nou with a goal by Lamine Yamal from the penalty spot, who, he ended up leaving injured right after kicking the penalty. It's not clear whether he got injured as a result of kicking the penalty, or if he got injured from the hit that caused the penalty, and then he still took the shot and then decided to be subbed out. But nonetheless, an incredibly important result for Barcelona as we get one step closer to winning this La Liga title. Now, prior to this match, there were 7 matches left, meaning 21 points left, with Barcelona being 9 points ahead of Real penalties. So that meant that Barcelona needed 12 points to secure this league title. Today, Barcelona won, which means we took home 3 important points. And as such, we now need 9 points to become champions of La Liga. So 3 points down, 9 more to go in order to become La Liga champions. Of course, assuming that Real Madrid doesn't drop points, because if they drop points, of course, that changes the calculation. So very, very important victory, because we're now one step closer, one match closer, 1 week closer to becoming champions of La Liga for the second consecutive season. Now, that, of course, is the good. Now, let's talk about the bad, because there is plenty of bad, way more bad than good, because for starters, Barcelona played a terrible match. Let's be honest, this was one of the worst performances of Barcelona in the most recent weeks. And to me, it was a bit surprising, because having been eliminated out of the Champions League, having seen Real penalties win their match against Alaves, I thought this team would come out super motivated and get a strong win, driven by that loss in the Champions League. And of course, driven by the fact that Real Madrid had closed the distance from 9 to 6 points. But instead, that's not what I saw. Instead, I saw a Barcelona that looked a lot like Real Madrid yesterday against Alaves. Now, from Real Madrid, it's expected after all. They've lost every single cup. They're pretty much, I don't want to say out of the league, because La Liga is still alive, but 9 points behind Barcelona. I can see why Real Madrid players would not be motivated. But to see Barcelona players as motivated as Real Madrid players, that to me was surprising, because again, we still have a league to win. This La Liga is not over. We still need to win. And since Real Madrid had closed the distance, I expected these players to come out ready to take home that victory. But instead, we saw a very lethargic Barcelona with an incredibly, with a big problem with the ball circulation. We seem to do a pretty good job building from the back and getting from out of the pressure from Celta Vigo, getting from under that pressure. But once we crossed the midfield, our circulation became really, really terrible. And once Lamine Yamal got injured, well, it got even worse, because we pretty much had no ideas, no creativity, nothing up front, just players moving the ball randomly, hoping for the best. Now, the second thing that was bad, because I said there's plenty of bad, of course, more bad than good, is, of course, the injury of Lamine Yamal. Now, I know there's a lot of reports right now swirling: 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 20 weeks, 1,000,000 weeks, 2096, that's when he's going to be back. I urge you to be calm, as I've mentioned 1,000,000 times before, and I cannot stress this point enough. Anything that comes out today is very, very doubtful. Why? Because medical exams don't get done until when? Until tomorrow. I don't know how many times I got to explain this, and people still like, oh, Bo, I read this report. I don't give a fuck what you read. The medical reports will be, or medical exams will be done tomorrow, Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. Lamine Yamal will undergo medical exams, and the doctors will know for sure what's wrong with him. And based on that, we'll know how long he will be out. Okay? So please, I don't care what the reports are saying. Don't even mention them to me. I don't care. Tomorrow, we'll know for sure. So I don't care to speculate right now. But nonetheless, it does look serious. And why do I say that? Because whenever a player just gets injured on his own, you know it's usually a muscle problem, right? This is not, oh, I got hit, it hurts, but with some icing, it's going to go away, or you sleep it off and it goes away. If it happens on its own, it's not a hit, so most likely it's a muscle problem, muscle tear, or a partial tear, or something like that. And those injuries usually do take a lot of time to heal. But nonetheless, I'm not going to speculate. I don't care what the reports are saying. We'll find out tomorrow. But let's all hope and pray that Lamine Yamal will recover soon, because, of course, we do have some difficult matches ahead of us, especially the Getafe one, which is going to be away. That's always a very difficult match because, you know, the horrendous, the terrible football that Bordalas likes to play. And, of course, we do have El Clásico match at the Spotify Camp Nou. So I wish the best for Lamine. Let's wait until tomorrow. But honestly, it's not looking good. Third bad thing, Cancelo. He got injured too. His doesn't look as serious. He was kind of touching that area above the knee, the muscle area, not the knee itself. That usually is a little bit faster as opposed to Lamine, who was touching the back of his leg. So let's hope Cancelo's is not serious. And then finally, the other bad thing, well, we got to talk about this because someone explained this to me. I still don't understand it. This was Ferran Torres' goal. Incredible pass from Pedri to Ferran. Beautiful shot by Ferran, who again seems to always shine again bottom of the table teams or mid to bottom to the table teams. But nonetheless, an incredible shot by Ferran Torres, and it was ruled offsides, and I still don't see where the offside is. I mean, yes, you see this part of the sleeve is past the line, but that's the same part of the sleeve of the other player. So if this part of the sleeve counts, shouldn't this part count? Which means this line should be more advanced. I don't fucking know. I don't understand this whatsoever. Second goal where both players are in the same behind the same line, and it ends up being ruled offside. Not to mention the two other times where the computer mistook the player. Remember the Lewandowski one? The computer mistook the foot of the other player being Lewandowski's, and we saw those memes with the elongated leg foot. It's clear that this system continues to fail, but of course, being that is La Liga, there are no remedies. So overall, again, terrible match by Barcelona, terrible performance by Barcelona. We have Lamine injured, we have Cancelo injured, and of course, you add to that fact that Rafinha is still injured. And well, we have lost a lot of our attacking firepower because right now we don't have wingers, our starting wingers, right? Lamine on the right and Rafinha on the left. And then we have Cancelo, who had been absolutely stepping it up in the attack. He's injured too, which makes you wonder, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because when Lamine Yamal is injured, you see how the team stops being creative, stops having ideas on how to attack, on how to find spaces. And that is, of course, problematic. And again, this league is not over. Now, what's the silver lining out of all of this, out of Barca's terrible performance and of all the injuries that we saw today? The silver lining is that Flick has definitely changed something very, very important for Barcelona. Because for the longest time, for many, many years, Barcelona needed to play well in order to win. And when they didn't play well, they usually lost or drew, but dropped points. And with Hansi Flick, we've seen many, many matches this season where Barcelona played horribly and it was still enough to win. And that's very, very important because that's how you win championships, or that's how you win leagues. You're not always going to play great matches. You're not always going to have brilliant performances. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes your players are tired. Sometimes a player gets injured. Sometimes a player gets, I don't know, red carded. Things happen. Sometimes the referees are a piece of shit, like most of La Liga referees are. Shit happens, and you can't always play well. And before, if we didn't play well, we dropped points, and the only way we could win is by playing well. Under Flick, we're seeing where if we play well, we win by huge margins, and if we don't play well, we still win. It might not be a huge margin. It might not be a 5-0 or a 7-0. It might be barely 1-0 or 2-1, but it's still enough to win. And that's important because, again, you're always going to have bad matches. And if you're winning your good matches and your bad matches, well, that's the recipe to win league. So that's the silver lining out of this bad performance and out of the injuries that we saw today. Let's hope that Lamine and Cancelo's injuries are not serious because, again, with Rafinha being injured, with Bernal being injured, we have lost a lot of firepower up front. Now, I do want to mention this. Of course, this is the time for Rooney Bardghji to shine, but not to throw shade at Rooney Bardghji because, of course, his performance wasn't that great. He is still adapting. He did come from the Swedish league. With all due respect to the Swedish league, it's many, many levels under La Liga. So he's still adapting to this much higher level of competition that is La Liga. He's also adapting to Barcelona style of play. Not to mention, he hasn't been getting that many minutes. So, of course, he wasn't going to perform that great. But I hope for all of you who constantly criticizing Flick, why is Lamine playing? Why is Rooney Bardghji? I hope you see why, okay? I hope you see the huge difference there is between Lamine playing and Rooney Bardghji playing. Because as much potential as Rooney Bardghji has, he's nowhere near to be ready to be replacing Lamine Yamal as often as you guys consistently demand. I hope you saw that today. Again, not to throw shade at Bardghji. I think he has a lot of potential, but he's still pretty green. He needs to develop more. He needs to mature more. I don't know if maybe next season he can get more minutes or maybe send him out on loan, something, but he's very, very green. And for those of you who are always like, Flick, why is he using Bardghji? Well, I hope you see why, okay? Because at the end of the day, you have the best player in the world versus someone who's not even ready to sub him, and you guys are screaming at Flick, why isn't he using Rooney Bardghji more? But anyways, that is all I wanted to say. 3 incredibly important points. We are one step closer, 3 points down, 9 more to go to become officially champions, or mathematically speaking, become champions. We'll see what Flick will come up with in the next few matches as we await, of course, the results of the medical reports of Joao Cancelo and Lamine Yamal, who left the field today injured. And that's it. I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Let's do a few more comments and then we'll end this. And then, of course, I'll do a news video later today because even though there's not a lot of news, there's still some news. Dorian says, I don't know why media is overreacting to Lamine injury. It's football. Injuries are part of the game. Plus, I don't think his injury is that serious, but let's hope for a speedy recovery. Why are the media overreacting? Pretty simple, because he's the most important player we have. He's the best player we have. And when Lamine is injured, when Lamine doesn't play, it's a completely different Barca. It's a Barca devoid of any ideas, of any creativity. And that's a big problem because we still have some difficult matches ahead of us. And not to mention, when you take into consideration that Rafinha is also injured, and Bernal is injured, and now Cancelo's injured, well, that leaves you very few options. We saw Rashford, he came onto the field. He's Trashford for a reason, right? We saw Olmo, shows up once in a blue moon. We saw Ferran, shows up only against bottom-of-the-table teams, and usually just to push it past the goalkeeper. Today, he had an incredible shot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to take that away from him. But is that who you're really going to trust for your attack? Rashford, Ferran, Olmo? The answer, of course, is no. And as far as Bardghji, again, lots of potential, but he's nowhere close to be ready. So that's why the media's reacted that way. I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's a pretty reasonable reaction to what is going on. And Jose Aguilar says, always Del Cerro Grande and the same refs. Yeah, it was Del Cerro Grande who was in the VAR room. So I'm not surprised that that was the ruling on that offside. But Negreira, right? Negrera. Which, by the way, I'm already seeing posts on social media of Real penalty fans talking about how the penalty against Lamine Yamal wasn't a penalty. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It doesn't get any clearer than that. And they're saying it's a robbery. These people are stupid. Fucking retarded. P4K Chema says, as much as I love Flick, I can't help but say Yamal doesn't have played today. I don't know, it's just me, but I feel like he should have been rested. Wow, did you see how the T performed after he got injured? I think that changes things. Nathan says, Deco better start working on summer transfers ASAP. It's in the work. We'll see. The R9 says, is it true our budget for the summer is 150 mil? For far as I know, it will not be in a 1-1 rule. If it's true, who would you buy? Supposedly, yes. That's what Laporta is saying, that we're going to have 150 mil to spend this summer transfer market. We'll see how true that is. They're also saying we're going to reach the 1-1. Again, we'll see how true that is. Who would I sign? We clearly need a number 9. A decent left winger that can compete with Rafinha, and of course, a center back that has experience that can help guide our young center backs who don't have the experience. Not the Gamer says, I just came up with this. When the foul is committed by the red and blue, the penalty will be awarded to you. I like that. That's really good. 9 says, hi Mo, I just think they're just trying to make Madrid win La Liga after what the president of La Liga said. I don't think that's what it is. I think that what's going on with the Negrera case, okay, I think it's a 2-part problem. Part A, these refs are fucking mediocre, period. They're just fucking bad. They're bad at their job. And since there is no actual action by La Liga, by the Royal Spanish Football Federation, by the CTA to improve the ref, it's going to stay trash. Because as long as you don't want to do anything about it, as long as you keep coming up with excuses to justify these mediocre refs, nothing's going to change. So that's the first problem, is that they're incredibly mediocre and they're bad at their job. The other part, I think there really is a repercussion to this whole Negrera case. And I think that's even hurting us in Europe, as we saw in the 2 legs against Atletico Madrid. And I think these refs feel like their reputation has been tarnished by these allegations that Barcelona was paying them money to win trophies. So I think either consciously speaking, they're doing it on purpose, where they're trying to punish us for making them go through what they're going through, or subconsciously speaking, they're so worried that any call in favor of Barca is going to make them look that, yes, they favor Barca, that they end up hurting Barca in an attempt not to look like they're biased towards Barca. I think that's what it is. Do I think there's an actual conspiracy to make Madrid win? No, I think that's very far-fetched. The Jeff says, this Yamal injury is totally on Flick. The kid never rests. Rooney never plays. Soon it will be Pedri again. Did you see what Rooney did today? Do you really still think that Rooney should have played more? Adelaide says, Abde is coming to Barca. I hope not. I really hope not. Honestly, he's better than Rashford. I don't think he is. I think Abde is really good for the team that he's in, which is Real Betis. I mean, this is the case of Ferran's and what's that guy named from Valencia? I forgot his name. This is the case of your typical player who in a mid-table team shines, is the star, and then catches the attention of the big teams. The big teams sign them, and then they end up flopping big time, because that's the limit, right? Every player has a limit. Some players are cut out for bottom of the table team. Some players are cut out for mid-table teams, and some players are cut out for big teams. And, that was Ferran, right? Ferran at Valencia, he was an absolute star. I mean, he was scoring goals. He was amazing. City signs him, completely flops. Barca signs him, completely flops, because he's a mid-table team player. That's what Abde is. He's a mid-table team player, except this time is the opposite, right? He started at Barca and moved down to a mid-table team versus starting a mid-table team and making it to a big team and flopping. And finally says, Eli says, Kunde needs to get the fuck out, bro. Whenever he's hustling, it looks like a casual jog. Dude gets cooked and chills. Makes terrible passes if they aren't just liable back passes. Olmo was awful today too. Yeah, man. Kunde, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's just like no longer hungry, but he needs to go. Kunde needs to get the fuck out of Barca because, yeah. Anyways. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, great result because we're one step closer to winning La Liga, but bad match because Barcelona played horribly. And of course, Lamine Yamal and Cancelo left the field injured. We'll find out with more details what happened to them tomorrow, but let's hope it's nothing serious, even though I gotta say the Lamine injury just does not look good. But let's hope that he is fine, or if he is injured, that his injury recovery time is a short one, because of course we also have Rafinha injured and Marc Bernal is still out as well. Silver lining, again, we've become a team where even when we play bad, we can pull victories, or we can win, and that's of course very important to win a La Liga title, because for the longest time we needed to play good in order to win, and when we didn't play good, we always drop points. Now we play good, we win. We play bad, we still win, and that's of course very, very important. That is all. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, be Scarsa.